You ready?
Fuck, I was born ready, son. Let's do this. I have 3 weeks of pent-up podcast energy. Hold on, I gotta move my coffee closer.
Okay, you ready?
I can just tell I'm gonna need refills. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right. Woo!
Go live.
Woo!
This
Got
meeting
it.
is being live streamed. Got it. Does that
This
mean it's
meeting,
live streamed?
Thanks, Zuckerberg.
Thanks.
Who knows?
Technology gods. Hi, Internet. How are you?
Hey, internets.
What's up, boners? Are we allowed to say that still?
Okay. Were you ever? Have you been allowed to say that since the 90s?
I don't know. Since like 2015, since we all collectively lost our PC minds.
Lost our boners.
Did I
Hey, welcome.
tell you my theory about that?
I thought
How
this was going to be
when the PC police started was 2015. And if you watch
Why?
movies and TV from before that, they're still funny and they're not anymore because they're too scared to make jokes.
I thought you were going to tell us that 2015 is when you lost your erection and then give us a story about erectile dysfunction.
I still get erections, just not all the way. I get those sad old man erections.
Internet, welcome to episode 185 of Outrage Factory, the podcast where we look at the things that made people mad online this week and explain why they're done for caring. Back from a vacation where I had many erections.
Oh,
I'm your co-host, Eric Bull.
I'm your other co-host, Dale DeRuiter. Mr. Intercontinental himself. Sorry, Mr.
Martin Giorno.
Intercontinental himself.
And what'd you say? Incontinent? I am incontinent.
Oh,
Incontinental.
Yeah.
Intercontinental and incontinental. Hi.
Yeah. There you go.
Hi. It's good to be back.
How was Italia?
It was fine.
Okay.
No,
that was all I had planned to talk
well,
about.
I don't want to. I
podcast.
mean, in this climate where like I feel like a dickhead being like, it was fucking amazing. Travel is great. It was so nice being like traveling and going out and like experiencing another country. And there's so many people who are still like, it's irresponsible to travel and fuck you. You should be hanging out at home. And I haven't left my house in a fortnight without
those people. I'll be the bad guy. Those people are idiots because if you haven't left your house since the pandemic started, it's not changing within 2 years. So go the fuck outside before it starts on fire, like not from lightning strikes and forest fires. Because
climate
pandemic's not going away, guys. I'm sorry.
It's
we got
not.
shit in. We had that one lovely month of July. I hope you got it out of your system because it's over with.
There are people out there who are still. Do you remember early in the pandemic when we were like, whoa, you can get this thing from like touching surfaces? So there were people who would like go grocery shopping and then they would bring their groceries home and then they would like wipe each individual item with like a Lysol wipe or like leave it outside for like 2 weeks so the virus could die before they brought. There's still people who are living like that out there.
No.
And it blows my mind.
See, those people that it's like before the pandemic, it was like if you were stupid, life was easier because you just didn't care about the same problems that other people had and you had this lack of some sort of anxiety. But now if you're dumb and you're still wiping down your groceries, that's your punishment for being dumb because you never really had to. It was like, what, a month before they're like, oh, yeah, you can't get it off surfaces.
You can. It's like, just airborne, which is like, fine, fuck, whatever. But like, they decided, or they explained a while ago that like surfaces are not the major source of transmission for this. So feel free to lick all the doorknobs you want.
Yeah, big hand Sanny finally lost their ploy to become rich.
That actually that one worked. I'm still sanitizing like a month. Like, how often did you use hand sanitizer in the before times? Like zero time to to jerk off? Or
I used to use it as lube because the stinging made me feel alive for my old man not all the way boners. No,
I disinfected and masturbated at the same time.
I used hand sani at work when I would cut myself. I would just use it because I cut myself all the fucking time.
When you cut you would like rub hand sanitizer into a fresh wound.
Yeah, to sanitize it, and then I put a Band-Aid on it.
Oh.
Because I have like a little drawer in my toolbox that's just all various sizes of Band-Aids for when I cut myself.
You're hard as fuck. You're like, as soon as I get a cut, I'm going to put acid in it.
I've always got a cut. This one was actually from a blackberry bush. Because today we went for a walk and I was like, just grab this leaf and there's like a ghost in the blackberry bush and it like slapped me for touching it. And
you're like, oh, Dale's hard as fuck. He cuts himself all the time and rubs acid in it. And then you're like, oh, I was fucking around in a blackberry bush. And
I still cut myself. I'm still hard as fuck. I can't even go for a walk without cutting myself. It's ridiculous.
Italy was good. I ate a lot of food. The country is beautiful. All the places we went were great. It was bizarre because we live on the west coast of Canada and like the west coast of North America, just generally outside of the indigenous peoples, which we will also talk about later. But like we have a very young, Vancouver's a pretty young city. And just like going and like looking at these fucking ruins in Rome and being like, oh, all this shit is like 4,000 years old was pretty mind bending. So,
yeah, because like here, everything's built like, fuck, it's raining. Just build a house and we'll live in it till we build another one. And then they like, then 100 years goes by and they're like, oh, remember that bullshit building we built just to build? Well, that's a heritage thing now. So we'll save the shell. So the old heritage buildings in BC are just the shitty buildings that are 100 years old that they're saving for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's
we're
exactly
never like let's build this to last 1,000 years.
Our heritage buildings, but it made me think about like, oh, like what's my legacy going to be like 4,000 years from now when people are looking at what civilization was now? I really hope they find episodes of this podcast to be like, this is what life was. These guys are the most accurate representation of the outrage era.
It's true. They're going to be like, they're going to listen to all 185 episodes. I don't know if we said we're on 185 yet. And they're going to be like, wow, these guys, they were so smart to do this instead of journaling. And now we know all about their lives and how Derek used to shit behind a tree in elementary school.
Yeah. And how Dale fists blackberry bushes. Hey, speaking of shitting behind a tree, I read through the agenda for today, and there was one story that leapt out on me, and it is COVID related. And it was the
Restless Anal Syndrome?
The Restless Anus Syndrome. And I was hoping we could lead off with that.
Yeah, because I lead off with anus all day, every day.
To future historians, please let the record show that Emperor Dale always led off with anus.
Yeah, this is like in the future they're gonna look back at this and it's gonna be like the anus dark ages because we're all just like sucking on each other's butts in our hookup culture and stuff, and everybody's like bragging about they eat anus and stuff, and then people are gonna look back from the future and they're like, they just didn't realize how sick it would make them, and how like that pinworms exist and dysentery is a thing.
That's probably where COVID came from. Some like human centipede shit going on, and not. Yeah.
It was like,
what's less embarrassing? I ate a bat or I ate an ass? And he's like, I'm just gonna tell people I ate a bat.
Yeah, they said it was like because a bat gave it to a pangolin, gave it to humans, but it was like a bat gave it to a pangolin that someone shoved up someone's ass, and then someone else ate it, and that's where COVID came from.
Like gerbling. Wait, who was that? Richard Gere.
Yeah, they said somebody put a gerbil up his butt.
Yeah.
But with pangolins. I asked him about it. He said no comment.
Yeah, which
makes me sound like,
as we all know, true. Yeah, if you had a comment, it would be to deny it if it hadn't happened.
Yeah, because there's like, you're lose because if you say no comment, you're like, he definitely did it. But if you deny it really hardly, like a normal person would, you're like, well, thou dost protest too much, Richard Gere.
Too much by saying nothing at all. According to the story, a newly published medical report by doctors in Japan has revealed a mysterious condition associated with COVID called Restless Anal Syndrome. Its name is likened to the more commonly discussed restless leg syndrome, and describes one 77-year-old patient's afflictions. The man had a 21-day stay in the hospital with COVID. He fully recovered from the virus, but he went back to the hospital, telling him that he was suffering deep anal discomfort in the area between his anus and genitals. Basically, he
Do
felt
they not
like
have taints in Japan?
they don't. They probably have some like very poetic name for it. Like
you keep talking. I'm Googling the Japanese word
the
for
mound
taint.
on which flowers do not grow.
Cherry blossom taint.
Told physicians he began suffering deep anal discomfort with the essential urge to move his bowels, but that gave him no relief. As days passed, the patient observed that physical activity seemed to relieve his stressed anus.
Okay,
he
I
had
found
internal hemorrhoids. Okay.
Sorry to bust it. Okay, he had internal hemorrhoids. Sorry, that's kind of a key. So I found the Japanese word for taint. I don't know if it's the word for the perineum or like if this water is tainted, like that sort of taint.
Almost definitely that one.
But let's just pretend it's for perineum. I guess I could have just Googled perineum, but it's yogore. Yogore. How badass is that? Be like, oh, my yogore.
Perineum.
Perineum.
Japanese.
God, we teach people so much on this podcast.
What is this? This just says ein.
Ein.
like German.
EIN?
EIN.
That doesn't sound Japanese because usually Japanese words are multiple syllables.
That's
like
what's,
multiple two-letter syllables.
That's what Google's telling me.
Oh yeah, the one I have is blot, stain, taint, disgrace, flaw, drawback.
This one is straight up perineum. So, anyways, this just goes to like, I don't know. As someone who has been afflicted with restless anal syndrome many times myself, most recently when I ate sushi the other night, it's just
what,
like
it just felt like you had to poop and you didn't.
Yeah, you feel like you have to shit, and no matter how much you shit, you still like Dale. And I know you've had this before, where just like shitting brings you no relief. Whether,
dude, I for sure thought I had COVID like for 2 weeks because like recently, I don't know if it was something I ate, but it was like my gut. I would be like sitting there like playing video games or teaching the world of knowledge on my other podcasts, and then my belly would just be like, and I'd be like, uh-oh. And it was just like an emergency.
It could have been.
I was like, this has to be COVID.
This has to be restless anus. It could just be your anus is restless. Do you ever think of that?
No.
Take it outside, play some games with it.
Oh, also, they said one of the ways to get rid of. So if you're afflicted with restless anal syndrome, they said exercise helps. Just like restless leg syndrome. So to me, that just sounds like you are restless because your body didn't get enough of a workout. So you got to go get your energy out.
Also, this is fucking crazy. Apparently, the Restless Leg Syndrome Foundation estimates that 7 to 8% of people in the United States are living with some form of restless leg syndrome.
Yeah, get more exercise, America.
Well, which is it like?
Ooh, sorry.
To me, I'm like, is it a form of like Tourette's?
That's a good call. Oh yeah, because they said it's like a neurological thing, didn't they? In that article.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see. I would like to see if we could do that thing that nobody's talking right now, where we like link different sicknesses to fat people and how fat they are. Like how many of the 7 to 10% of people in the US have restless leg syndrome? How many of them are overweight and aren't burning enough calories during the day? Like, is this just something that came from a sedentary lifestyle? Or is this just like something that just happens no matter what shape you're in?
I think it's like it is a neurological condition where it's like your brain is just firing like you're basically getting like nerve impulses in your legs, or which makes you think it is kind of like a form of Tourette's because it's the same thing. Like it's just like nerve impulses that make you um
Kick.
or swear or what, say random shit, or the human brain is all kinds of fucked up.
Oh man, imagine if you got Tourette's and then you got restless leg syndrome. That would suck. You get both. Booth.
Anyway, so if you're on the fence about getting vaccinated still, and you don't want to feel the persistent urge to poop, that would, if all the other shit hasn't convinced you to get vaccinated yet, maybe this one will.
I have a question.
Yes, Dale.
Scientific, of course.
Of
the
course.
77-year-old fella in Japan with the restless anal syndrome. Did they try suppository ivermectin?
They didn't highlight that in the story, probably because of the mainstream media's war on ivermectin.
Yeah, those left wingers, they don't want us to solve COVID. They just want us to keep having it, so they're holding ivermectin down.
So they're withholding
big pharma,
the miracle cure of ivermectin, or whatever fucking horse drug we're on to now.
Oh, that's kind of a segue into another topic. Are we done talking about
I love
this
it.
old guy's ass? Or do you want to talk about this old guy's ass?
I'll never fully be done with this old guy's ass, but as much as I can be. Yeah. Let's move on.
Do you think this old guy in Japan is listening to this podcast? He's like just chilling. He's like listening to the funny first parts, and then he's like, wait, are these guys talking about my ass?
I'm so embarrassed. Future historians who are descendants of the restless anal man are going to find this podcast and listen to all 185 episodes.
Where the fuck did I put this? Oh, here. So what I was talking about, the segue, is there's a new oral treatment for COVID on the horizon, and it's not sucking on butts. It is a pill that the company Merck, M-E-R-C-K, is trying to, I think they're at the point where they're trying to get it approved by FDA under emergency use stuff, just like they did with the vaccines. And do you know why this is a segue, Derek?
Why?
Because Merck's the company that made ivermectin in the first place. And nobody's talking about it because everybody's slightly dancing around it because they don't want to be like, hey, remember that one drug we made fun of for ever and we aren't willing to give up? Well, that company has a new drug coming out. We're just going to ignore the fact that it has anything to do with ivermectin. So we're going to wait and see what happens.
Well, is it basically ivermectin just with a rebrand, or is it a completely different drug?
I'd imagine it's ivermectin, and they changed enough of the chemical makeup of it that they could patent it, because that was the whole problem with ivermectin, was they came up with it 40 years ago, so it was basically free, and this is why everybody says that the government's holding it back. It's because it's 40 years old and you can't make money off it by patenting it, so they're all trying to dismiss it because big pharma is not going to make any money if everybody just starts using ivermectin. But if this new drug by Merck is patentable, then they can make money. So
at least for the next however long it is before drug patents run out. I don't know.
Is it 25 years? Is it just like media and entertainment where after 25 years it's free?
It's I don't think that's true of media or entertainment.
No, yeah. In media, if something goes 25 years, like a song, if it goes 25 years without someone renewing the patent on it, then it's basically public use. So
public domain.
Yeah, public domain.
Yeah.
That's why Disney keeps reissuing all their old movies so that they go under patent for Disney again.
I don't know. So you're telling me we could go remake Citizen Kane right now and just be like, this is our movie now. We patented it.
I'm pretty sure Citizen Kane has had the license renewed. I'm pretty sure it's not public domain, because even though it's 25 years, I think it's owned by Criterion or whatever. I don't know who owns the Criterion collection, but basically you get a movie that gets a reissue like the Star Wars movies, how they always had like the, oh, here's a reissue for this or the special edition. It's like if Citizen Kane, if 23 years go by from when Citizen Kane is released, and then they're like, here's a new cut of this movie, then it's considered a new product and the license is like restarted for another 25 years.
Well, I'm no, IP or patent lawyer, but that seems sound to me.
I mean, prove me wrong, anybody who has enough time to look this shit up.
Literally anyone who can do a Google search.
And a side note, I don't know if it's like this before anymore, but the way Fox held the Marvel licenses, like Fantastic Four and stuff, was theirs was a different thing where they held the license for characters, and if they didn't make a movie within 11 years or something, then the licensing for those characters came up for bidding, and that's why you had that new Fantastic Four a while ago.
So many shitty Fox Marvel movies, whereas Marvel's own, like what studio was putting out the whole the good Marvel movie?
Oh, that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, which is owned by Disney, right?
Yeah, was bought by Disney, but now Fox is also owned by Disney because it was bought like 2 years ago.
Perfect. So we don't have to worry about ever having another shitty Marvel movie.
No, because all the Fox ones will be made by the MCU team, like the production house. I don't know. Like, I feel like at any point the MCU movies are going to start getting watered down. But until that happens, I love all of them. Because a lot of people are like, we're sick of all these Marvel movies and stuff. But I'm like, I'm totally fine with it, because it's like all these movies that would just be generic action movies are now superhero movies with like the plot that they would have used on something else. Like, we're not going to get any Bad Boys or new Fast and the Furious movies or like all those 90s action one-off movies. They're all just going to be rebranded as Marvel movies now, and I'm definitely okay with that.
I could fuck with that.
Yeah.
Wait, did we get derailed from this? Anyway, I hope this.
Oh, yeah, we definitely did. But there's not really much to talk about this, because it's like some company made a drug and now they're trying to get it approved. But here, I'll give you some smart stuff.
Well, I'm just excited for this drug to solve the problem of all the people who are worried about supporting big pharma and putting things they don't understand into their bodies. This drug will now help address that segment of the population.
Yeah. What I want is...
That was a joke.
Sorry.
Same thing. It was
too long.
A fucking vaccine or a fucking pill.
No, I think this one is good because this is to treat the symptoms of COVID instead of kind of stopping you from getting it. Like, the vaccine is to give you a little taste of what it would be like to have COVID, so your body builds up immunity to it. But I think this is a treatment for
when you actually have it.
Which is
good.
But
either way, if you refuse to get the vaccine and you get sick from COVID and you need a treatment, you are taking these drugs that you don't understand into your body, and you are funneling money into a pharmaceutical company. So it's like, really, if someone who is still vaccine hesitant can explain it to me, what the fuck is the difference on that one?
I think... Yeah, like what you're saying basically is you don't think people who are vaccine hesitant will be likely to take this?
No, I 100% think they would, because they've been the people there. I mean, there's been I'm just refilling my coffee here. They've been the ones who have been like championing ivermectin and shit. And it's like, they don't know what the fuck is in ivermectin. They don't understand how it works. They just want to take it because somebody they trust, who is not the medical establishment, told them that this drug worked. And I mean, fucking someone is making money off of ivermectin. And everyone's always like, these conspiracy theorists are always like, follow the money. And it's like, well, guess what, fuckers? Like, you can follow the money fucking anywhere. Look at anything in your home that has been purchased. Somebody made money off of that. That's not necessarily proof of a huge conspiracy, but it's like, someone's making money off of ivermectin if you're buying it and putting it in your ass or mouth or both.
Okay. Do you want me to talk sciencey
Yeah, I would
about
love
this?
that.
Okay, because we still haven't said the name of the drug, which I just skimmed through the article. And
We
I
have not.
figured, hey, Dale hasn't attempted this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 syllable word yet. People are usually a fan of that. So it's gonna be it's called molnupiravir. I got it. I think I
You
got it
did.
first
You
try.
nailed it.
Unless that's not the way you explain it. But so if it gets authorization, molnupiravir, which is designed to introduce errors into the genetic code of the virus, will be the first oral antiviral medication for COVID-19. That sounds like
See that
weird sciencey
that
stuff.
scares me more than it's like, oh, this is supposed to like introduce errors into the genetic code of a virus. It's like
That's a very good point.
it's like that sounds scarier to me than like creating antibodies to fight the virus. This is like fucking with the genetic code of a virus, which
exactly
I'm no expert.
Don't want to do.
I've seen enough movies to know that's usually a bad idea.
Maybe this is the one that turns it into the world pandemic, because as far as pandemics go, we've gotten off pretty lightly. I'm not trying to belittle anybody who's suffered real loss during this pandemic, but like the death rate and everything from this pandemic is crazy low compared to every other pandemic.
Yes.
And
granted, those other pandemics did come at a time where people were shitting in trenches in the street. And like, I think overall medical, medical advancements and scientific advancements were like, if the Spanish flu happened now, I think the death numbers would be more in line with what COVID's been than as many, because like we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
The funny thing was, back then for the Spanish flu, they had anti-maskers as well. And they had people who were like, just wear the fucking mask. That's funny. Did I tell you on this podcast about the dumb thing that people were doing for the Black Plague?
No.
Like with the poop? Did I tell you that?
No.
So during the...
Wait, are you blowing up a spot on your history podcast for this? Which, by the way, everyone, check out the Dale Show, airing whenever Dale publishes new episodes.
Yeah, it's not sporadic. Any sort of like, yeah, it's very sporadic. It's not necessarily history, but I am doing a set on the Templar Knights, which is all history. But I was listening to something else on the Black Death, and it was like the 1300s, wherever, and they were noticing the shit stirs, because what would happen back then was, in a city like London, all the poop from all the people would just go into this river, and it would go into the River Thames and then go out to the ocean and magically disappear, or whatever they thought happened to the shit. But people didn't have enough fiber back then, so all of the like big lunky poos would clog up this river. So there's people who had the job with this big stick. They had to go poke the lumps in this river to keep it flowing. And they were noticing that those people who were doing that were having a less infection rate for the Black Plague. And they're like, holy shit, this has to be like them smelling poo. So these people would they got the bright idea that they would go smell the fumes from the poo, because they thought that was going to save them from the Black Plague. So they would lean over the river of poop and just take in huge wafting breaths. But they didn't realize that since these people were dealing with shit every day, they were washing the shit off themselves every day, whereas the regular person only had a bath once a month. So the reason that the people stirring the poo were getting less of the Black Plague was because they were washing themselves in the river every day, because they got so dirty at their job. They had to get the shit off, and that was actually saving them, because they were ironically more clean than a regular person.
Yeah. Also, if you don't do that and you just smell like shit constantly, people are going to socially distance themselves from you. And these people probably never had to worry about contact with another person, because they just stank of shit all the time.
That's true.
I learned when I was in Venice, Italy, which is a
Mhm.
city I was in recently.
Oh, really?
I was, yes. I was
Did
reading
did
about.
did the gondola driver, do they wear striped shirts?
They
Or
do,
is that a
yes.
movie? Nice.
No, that's for
I
real.
was worried about that.
The gondola ride was whatever. It was fine. But Venice was a city that was hit really hard by the black plague back in the day, and I was reading an article about it, and they had actually, there was like this notorious conspiracy theorist pamphleteer who was like getting people to fight the government on their restrictions. So what the government and the church actually did is they got the guy, they got all of his followers, and they just fucking killed them all. Like they put them all to death. And I'm like, holy shit, could we use some of that right now? Like just like round these people up and kill them.
There you go, Alex Jones. Maybe you should stop crying about how you got scrubbed off the internet. They didn't kill you and everybody who listens to InfoWars. I saw a guy wearing like an InfoWars thing the other day, like a mask, InfoWars
mask.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I was like, that's hilarious, because I thought that if you believed in InfoWars, you wouldn't believe in the mask.
Wouldn't wear a mask, yeah.
But then I was like, that's hilarious, because I personally think Alex Jones is hilarious. I don't necessarily agree with him on everything. And every time he's right, I get upset because it just gives those people more power. So I almost wanted to be like, nice mask, but I didn't want to have like the awkward in the grocery store InfoWars discussion with some random dude who's obviously into
InfoWars. I mean, if you're willing to wear an InfoWars mask in public, in Canada, no less, you're big. Maybe he was just a casual Alex Jones listener like you, and he was like, I'm going to wear this mask because I think it's ironic. But
I wouldn't even say I'm a casual listener, because the only time I ever hear Alex Jones is when he's on a different podcast, like when he's on Joe Rogan or Tinfoil Hat. I've never actually listened to Alex Jones's podcast because I'm into conspiracies, but I'm like, it's true.
You're in like the gateway stage of conspiracies right now. And I swear to God, in like a year, you're going to be like fucking QAnon and like talking about all this shit and being like, Q told me that they're drinking the adrenochrome from children. You're going to liberate Noah from me and be like, we need to get you into the woods and save you from the pedophile ring.
Yeah, because I'll listen to a conspiracy theory and they'll be like, do the work, do the research, you'll find out. And I was like, research? I'm here specifically because I don't want to do research.
Yeah, just tell me what to believe and I'll believe. On that note, YouTube banned vaccine misinformation, but not just COVID vaccine misinformation. They banned all basically anyone who like speaks out against vaccines. YouTube will not host your videos anymore. So
shit.
So
private companies gonna act like private companies, I guess.
So for the purpose of this video, which will be uploaded to YouTube, I just want to say vaccines are good and everyone should get them.
Yeah, I got my vaccine. All of them, I think. Oh, and I'm getting the flu shot. So I'm just like,
I've got ones I don't even need. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking Africa, but give me that yellow fever vaccine just because.
Yeah, exactly. Like at work, they're like, do you want a flu vaccine or a flu shot? And I was like, this is the first round of flu shots since the pandemic started, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck it. Let's see what happens. Roll the dice, baby. Maybe I'll get superpowers, or worst case scenario is it gives me the flu and I stay home.
Is it flu season already?
Yeah. There's apparently a nasty cold, which I guess nature is healing. Colds are back. There was that year. Remember like last cold season? We just skipped by.
Yeah.
Because everybody was
Nobody got sick
inside and not at work.
Inside, sanitizing their hands, sanitizing their groceries, drinking sanitizer.
Sticking it up their butts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ironically, now that we figured out COVID doesn't come off surfaces, you could still get the flu off surfaces. So we're all just going to get the flu now.
All right. Well, I'm going to take back what I said about licking doorknobs earlier. Don't do that.
Whatever. Oh, wait. Now you're still work at home, right?
Yeah.
If you get sick, are you allowed to just be like, oh, I'm sick? Or are they like, yeah, but you're at home and it's a computer?
Yeah. Like, I don't think, and maybe that's part of the reasoning behind it is like, right now, if you have so much as like a sniffle, you're supposed to stay at home. Or if your kids get the sniffles, which good fucking luck, because kids are always sick and always have like some sort of low grade illness because they're disgusting. But
Yeah.
like if your kid's even just like a little bit sick, you're supposed to keep them at home. So by working from home, I don't think I can be like, oh, I've got the sniffles, not going to make it in today. I'm still going to be expected to do my fucking job. So
Yeah. Cause it's like, cause you still did it when you were like mangled with your back, right?
yeah, that's something I kind of regret now because it's not like, it's I've set the bar for for what it needs for me to take a sick day, and I was basically paralyzed, and I was still showing up to work, getting my shit done every day. So next time I'm like, I have a little ouchie, I'd like to take a sick day. They're gonna be like, no, you can't do that.
They're like, Dale has fucking band-aids in hand, Sandy.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
get your shit
Rub
taken
some
care
Sandy into that cut and get fucking back at it.
Nurse Dale will take care of you.
Creepy. And yet my fantasy come to life. Do you want to talk about the Trudeau thing?
Yes, but first, before we chase everybody away, because apparently everybody in the world hates Trudeau, but he's still our prime minister. Like he won an election with everybody hating him. I don't know how
he
that
did,
happened.
but like honestly, you talk to anyone who voted for the guy, and like there wasn't anyone who was like, "Fuck yeah, I love Trudeau. I really think he's the guy to like lead the country." They were just like, he is the least shitty available option, and that was basically it.
Before we get into that, I just want to like kind of an announcement. It's not really story, so I just want to throw it out there. BCSPCA is offering 50% off all of their adoptions until October the 6th because assholes who bought their pets during COVID all brought them back at once, and now all the shelters are overrun because people are going back to work. So if you want a dog or cat or whatever animal that the SPCA has, go get one because they're half price.
I want a dog.
I want a dog too.
We should both go get half price dogs at the SPCA.
Oh my God. I saw today the best pair of dogs I'd ever want. There was a guy walking a Great Dane and a Boston Terrier, but he fucked up because the Boston Terrier wasn't in a little backpack on the Great Dane. How could you not do that?
Missed opportunity.
Right?
Okay, wait. I'm gonna spend the rest of this episode just looking at
do it.
Oh my God, there's a rooster available for.
Oh my God, let's get the rooster
to adopt. His name is William.
William. Who names a rooster? Who names a rooster? I guess.
Who names a rooster is a better question.
It's in Vancouver.
It is, yeah. No, Port Alberni. That makes more sense.
Where's Port Alberni?
Find a dog. Let's go.
Nice.
Oh, Loki. Oh, Cane Corso. That's a big fella.
I think my brother had a Cane Corso.
Those are like the horse dogs, aren't they?
Those are fucking
giant.
No, those are one of the pit bull dogs, because you know how pit bulls are actually like 12 different breeds. I think Cane Corsos are included in that, and they are a scary dog. Like they're like those dogs. Like all dogs are like cute if they like you, but if they don't, they're like extra scary because they look like demons.
I'm looking at dogs, so you can talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about.
I think everybody who listens to this podcast is probably looking at dogs. Do you want to talk about this Trudeau thing now?
Let's talk about it.
Disrupted the podcast talking about. Okay, I'm gonna say one thing about Trudeau. I kind of love Trudeau now. I used to hate him. I used to think he was like an empty vessel of a human being. But I realized that's why I like him so much, because he's just looking for the most people he can get to like him. So he's basically pandering to the biggest group of people he can. So he's basically like the physical manifestation of I totally spaced on this word. The D word that we use to elect. Like what? The political system we live in. I can't
democracy.
Yeah, he's the physical manifestation of democracy, because it's like whatever the most people want, that's what Trudeau's going to give you, because he has no feelings inside. It's not like he's a sociopath, because all he cares about is being liked and being accepted. So the biggest group of people that makes the most noise, he'll appease them. And that's usually what politicians do, but they usually keep it within like their political spectrum bias. Like Singh tries to appease the most NDP fans, like left-wing people he likes, and then O'Toole was trying to appease all the right-wing people. But Trudeau, having like these grand ideas, just tries to appease everybody at once. So he just like, that's why he bought a pipeline, because the most people wanted it. But then at the same time, he makes this new holiday because he thought that's what would get him the most likes. So I'm like, shouldn't all politicians be like this?
He's
Just
basically
do what
like,
the most people want.
yeah, he's oatmeal essentially.
Yeah.
And like whatever toppings you want to put on him, he's there for the taking. Like the guy has no real substance. And I think the thing we want to talk about is proof of that, because he does all this like pandering over residential schools and Indigenous children and declaring it a national or a stat holiday in Canada, which was Truth and Reconciliation Day, which was last Thursday, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then he fucks off to Tofino for a family vacation. And
meanwhile, on that day,
in the background, his government is fighting lawsuits from residential school survivors. And like, it's just like, the guy's just like, he is, to me, he's modern day liberalism, just like personified, in that he will say all the right things and then there's like absolutely nothing to back it up.
Yeah, he like has no tact. He's like your parent that wears socks and sandals because he just doesn't care. But it's like, if he knows people won't approve of it, he's like, oh, like if he knew how many people would be upset that he flew to Tofino on the national holiday he created, he would have never done that. He was just like, I made a holiday, everybody should love me. And they're like, well, you still got to observe the holiday you made, guy.
Yeah. But sorry, yeah, I'm looking at dogs.
Are you still looking at dogs? That's fine. I mean, if the choices were to talk about Trudeau, which, as I said, he's like, at this point, I'd say Trudeau is like got the Britney Spears locked up Britney Spears / Nickelback thing, where it's like everybody fucking hates him, but they're still super popular. Like everybody hates Trudeau, but he still got elected. Granted, he didn't get a majority, and most people are like, Trudeau's a fucking hairdo, but the liberals kind of are. They're like neutral evil as opposed to like
chaotic
lawful evil and chaotic good or whatever. Yeah, because I'd say Singh is like chaotic good, because you know he's a good guy, but you don't know what the fuck he's gonna do if he was given power. And then O'Toole was like kind of evil, but he's lawfully evil, whereas Trudeau's just like, you know, neutral evil, where he's like, he's only in the sense that he doesn't do good just for good's sake.
Yeah,
he does.
I don't know that he actually does good at all.
Well, like, I don't. The holiday itself was good.
Yeah, sure.
I gotta give him that.
But it was just like, he made the holiday and then did like nothing to. He was like, now y'all go figure out how to mark this day or what to do with it. Like, he should have been doing more. And like, Trudeau knows at this point that the Conservatives have spent the past however long just shitting their pants over absolutely everything he does, that he knows at this point that like, no, people are going to yell about me going to Tofino, but a lot of people are just going to roll their eyes and be like, well, here the Conservatives go complaining about fucking everything again. And it's true. Like, shut the fuck up and focus on complaining about shit that actually matters, instead of just like crying about every single fucking thing. And it'll actually carry a little more weight when you do it. And you know what? Another thing that goes for all of you about everything. Stop complaining about everything and only complain about the shit that matters.
Pick your battles. We're not in our 20s. We don't have the energy to fight everything anymore. Just pick what matters and fight that.
God.
Yeah, like I like how everybody's like, at this point, whenever the Conservatives are like, Trudeau did this fucked up thing, and everyone's like, yeah, we don't even like that guy. We just hate you more than we hate him.
Yeah, exactly. Read the fucking room.
Yeah. It's like we already know he's a fucking idiot. We just know he's not an evil idiot, so we accept it. Like everything Trudeau does that's dumb and wrong. We're never like, I think Trudeau was honestly trying to hurt everybody's feelings. We're all just like, no, he's like a bimbo and he just didn't know what he did was bad. Yeah.
Yes. He's basically like liberal George Bush. Like that's like everyone's just like he gets a free pass because he's stupid and everyone knows it.
Yeah. It's like when your dog shits on the floor, you're like, oh fuck, he just couldn't hold it in. But when a dog shits in your shoe, you're like, that motherfucker was trying to prove something.
He was aiming. Yeah, you don't shit in a shoe by accident.
Exactly.
Speaking of dogs, there are some fucking great dogs available on the BC SPCA website, and everyone should go check them out. I'm partial to Norm myself.
The weird thing is, if I get a dog, I want either a crazy big dog like a Great Dane or like a toy cup poodle or teacup poodle.
Yeah.
Which is a toy poodle.
The big dogs are better for apartments, apparently, because they have like much less energy and they just fucking lay around. Whereas you get a tiny dog and they're just like, they're fucking pure bundles of energy, and you need to like take them outside for 1,000 hours a day or they will shred everything that you own. As evidenced with Tucker, the world's stupidest, shittiest dog that we both owned at one point.
Yeah. He was the Trudeau of dogs because he just shredded everything. He never did it because he hated you. He just did it because he was Tucker.
He did it because he was too fucking dumb to do anything else.
It's true. Yeah, like I've heard Great Danes are good dogs because they have heart problems, so they're not that active. So they're just big lazy oafs. But I also heard they shit a lot. Not like numerous times a day, but when they do shit, it's like
they're big animals. It's like it's like the Triceratops turd in fucking Jurassic Park or whatever. It's like just mounds. Big animals make big poops.
Oh yeah. Hey, that reminds me. I got a Triceratops tattoo.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
I didn't show you.
Well, I saw it on the internet, but
I should probably show you in person. Yeah, I showed Amanda last episode. So
that'll
just be my new thing is I got a tattoo in my 40s, so now I have to show every single person I talk to so that they forget I'm over 40. That's how tattoos work, right?
Yeah. That's how tattoos have always worked.
They're like, look, I'm an interesting person.
Yeah. I have many diverse interests, including Triceratops and Triceratops shitting. Do you want to talk about this Dollar Tree thing?
Yeah, I do. I don't know, because I put it on there because everybody in the States is flipping out because I gotta figure out it's one specific dollar store on the East Coast. Hey, ask Kate if she knows about this.
Kate, do you know about the Dollar Tree?
Nope. Yeah. Hi, Kate.
I know about the Dollar Tree.
I don't know what that means. Is that like an urban thing?
We're over 40. We don't put H's on words.
Right.
We just get tattoos. The Dollar Tree, which I think is an East Coast thing. I said it like I knew it was, but yeah. Wait, VA. That's Virginia, right?
Yes.
That's on the East Coast, or is that considered South?
What? No, that's East Coast.
Okay, so I was right with the East Coast. So Chesapeake, Virginia, the Dollar Tree is breaking the dollar barrier, which I thought all dollar stores broke this barrier like 20 years ago, but that must have just been in Canada because their dollar is shit and you can't get anything for $1 anymore. But I can't believe there was a dollar store that everything was still only $1.
Was it everything was? Oh, the store is literally called Everything's $1. Oh, their ad that I'm looking at in this thing says everything's $1.
Yeah.
And that, that's American dollars, which goes a lot further than our shitty Canadian dollar, which is why we haven't had actual dollar stores for a very long time.
Yeah, ours are dollar and more stores now. Also, does this make us the two oldest men having a yell at the cloud moment? Or are we making fun of people who are having their yell at the cloud moment?
Over the dollars?
Yeah.
The Dollar Tree?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to understand why this happened.
Because they said that COVID gut punched their business, and now they have to charge more than $1 because they got effed from COVID and rising shipping prices and stuff.
I mean, yeah, that I understand.
Yeah.
Because the entire supply chain is just, apparently the global supply chain is just like brutally fucked right now. I keep like reading snippets about it on like Reddit or whatnot about like all these cargo ships like backed up, and like the movement of goods is severely impeded right now.
That's all just big fucking trucking trying to screw us so that we welcome AI to take the jobs away from hardworking Americans and Canadians. Because we're like, you guys are fucking this up. We need robots to do this. But that's like in England right now. They're having this huge problem because everybody quit because the English union or whatever for truckers was just like mistreating them, because up until Brexit, they had this influx of unskilled labor from third world countries, so they could basically be like, drive our trucks for very little money, and these people coming from third world countries are like, all right, that's more money than I'd ever make. But now, since they cut off that supply and the businesses got used to having those low paid workers, apparently all these like regular high paid guys who've been doing the job for like 20 years, apparently they all fucking quit, and they're like, yeah, we're not coming back to work. So England is trying to get like the rest of EU to be like, hey guys, can you come in and help us out with this? But the rest of EU's like, fuck you, Brexit. We're not.
Yeah, remember that whole you're not part of the EU thing anymore?
Yeah. Remember how
idiots
you somehow didn't want untrained labor because you thought that was racist? Well, you reap what you sow, England. Also, who wants to be a trucker anymore? It's not like Big Trouble in Little China days where you could be a badass like Kurt Russell and drive a truck.
Still be a badass. Like you keep to yourself, do lots of math, live on the open road, drive a big rig.
I mean, driving a huge machine on meth does sound pretty good.
Find a glory hole in some gas station bathroom. What's not to like?
Could you imagine if there was actually glory holes this whole time and we missed our chance to use them?
I'm sure they exist. They're out there.
There's no way they exist the way we want them to exist.
Let's go back to early COVID pandemic where the government of BC suggested glory holes might be the best way to have sex.
To be fair, I hacked their account and pretended to be a doctor and highly suggested that not only we use glory holes, but we also, it's only women who look like Jennifer Lopez on the other side of them.
Yeah.
That was all my idea.
Well, it doesn't matter. When there's a wall between you, it doesn't matter who's on the other side. It's what you tell yourself about them.
Yeah, but here's a tip. If you're going to a glory hole and you're on the receiving end, just be like, I look exactly like Jennifer Lopez. And then
in my that old voice, man
boner
in Dale's voice.
In the voice
I look like Jennifer Lopez.
Don't worry about the sound of my voice. I look like Jennifer Lopez.
I've just got a bout of laryngitis from licking doorknobs.
I got COVID, but don't worry, you can't get it like this. Only if you suck on my butt.
All right. Do we have anything else? I think we hit basically most of the things in here.
Speaking of old
pop,
how do I say this without being super offensive?
Don't say
singer-songwriters who dance who were famous 20 years ago.
Also, I don't think she's that old.
Shakira was famous like 20 years ago.
She's 44. Do you ever have those moments where you're like, oh, this person is fucking ancient, and then you're like, oh, they're actually the exact same age I am?
Oh God! So she was like a multi-millionaire with these hips don't lie, and she was the same age as us. I was like, it's okay that she's rich because she's way older than me.
No,
but finding out people are wildly rich and they're the same age as you, somehow stings a bit more.
This happens with athletes a lot too. You're like, oh, look at this old piece of shit, retire already.
Yeah.
And then they're like 35 and you're fuck.
But in our defense, when an athlete is 35, they look fucking 50.
True. Those are road miles.
Which is ironic because you hear about all this like talk about how partying and having fun and drinking and eating bad food is supposed to age you prematurely, and doing active like workouts and stuff is supposed to keep you young. I think that only goes up until about 25 and then it just switches because all these 35-year-old athletes look hella old.
Yeah.
But I guess people who've been partying their whole life, when they hit like 35, 40, they also look old.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to talk about the actual Shakira story?
Oh yeah. The only reason I put this on here was because remember, like, I think it was like 2 years ago in the States when that guy was talking about why he needed assault rifles, and it was to protect his family.
Wild feral hogs. I remember it.
30 to 50 wild hogs. And Shakira in Catalina, Spain, in a park, gets attacked by 2 wild hogs who steal her purse and then run off into the forest. And if she had an assault rifle, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and I mean, fucking wild boars are scary animals. I think this is the
I've
same.
seen old Yeller.
This is the same take we had back when the guy was talking about feral hogs. Like,
yeah,
the entire city of Vancouver was recently held hostage by a pack of coyotes. So imagine a coyote, but fucking like 10 times bigger and angrier, because that's what wild boars are.
Because coyotes are the size of like a small dog, not a small dog, a medium dog. Whereas boars are like, can get up to Great Dane size. And it's just, the whole coyote thing was just an example of how big of like wimps Vancouver is. Cause it's like, there's coyotes in the park and they nip at a jogger and then the whole city shuts down. And then they're like, we got to get rid of these coyotes. So they kill 2 of them or 3. And then everybody's upset they killed them. It's like, what do you want, Vancouver? Either you want these super small dogs that you're so scared of, or you want them killed. You can't have it both ways. Whereas the rest of the world, like Spain, they're dealing with actually terrifying wild animals like boars who can kill you.
Yes.
Like when you get attacked by a coyote, they're like, somebody was bit by a coyote. If you get attacked by a wild boar, they're like, somebody got gored by the tusks of a boar and now they're fighting for their life.
Yes. We have to replace their insides with synthetic organs because they got really fucked up. And meanwhile, like a coyote bite has barely punctured the skin. And I don't actually, I'm shit talking right now, and I'm probably going to go out for a walk tonight and get mauled by a coyote and be like, I'm sorry that I said that.
All you have to do to get rid of a coyote is kick it, because they're so small. They're like the size of, does everybody know what a Sheltie is? Do you know what that is? That breed of dog?
Yes.
Yeah, they're like that big, which isn't that big. Like
they don't look as cute though. They look.
No. If it came down to fighting for my life, I could take probably 4 coyotes, and I think I could maybe take 1 wild boar.
You think you could take a wild boar?
If it was live or die, I could maybe take 1 wild boar. I could not take 2.
We're in the Colosseum in Rome, which is another city I was in recently. Rome, Italy. We're in the Colosseum. You have no weapons. You're in hand-to-hand combat. It's you and a wild boar to the death. Who walks out of that fight? You were the
most likely the wild boar. But I have a shot. I feel like if it's 1 wild boar, I might be able to win. I'm talking like 30-70 chance. But if it's like 3 coyotes, I'm for sure winning. That's the difference I'm saying. Like, I'm not scared of coyotes. I'd be scared of 5 coyotes. I'd be scared of 1 wild boar. What do you think? Do you think you could take 1 wild boar?
No. I would die. They would fuck up my legs with their tusks, and then they just eat me while I lay on the ground and scream. I've seen fucking whatever movie that was.
Old Yeller?
Where he feeds the... No. Wait, was it Hannibal? where he
Oh yeah.
fed him to a pig.
Yes.
That was Hannibal, right?
And Snatch.
Right. Oh
It was
yeah.
both.
Also,
It happened in Snatch, I think, first.
So yeah,
And that whole fucking picnic
and that
thing
whole
that
fucking
happened
local
5 miles from where we are right now.
local famous person, Robert Picton.
Those were just regular pigs, though.
I could do. I'm gonna say, yeah, probably like two or three coyotes.
Okay.
I could not take one wild boar.
I feel like wild boar, it all comes down to if you can dodge the first charge, like, because they charge at you, and if you can jump out of the way and jump on its back and then start poking its eyeballs, then you might win. But if you don't miss that charge, you're dead, because it's just gonna like rip your leg off and you're useless. Not off, but like might as well be off.
Okay, so in the past, well, I don't know, there was a study of wild pig attacks on humans published in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And of the attacks reported, 15% of wild boar attacks resulted in fatalities.
Jesus.
Wait, yeah. In the case of people who were traveling alone and not with other people, that number doubled. So 30%. So if you run into a wild boar alone, you have a 1 in 3 chance of dying, not just getting injured, but straight up dying.
Yikes.
And Shakira managed to fight off 2 of these things?
Yeah.
I mean,
there was other people with her, though, because she was in a park and they grabbed her purse and ran away with it. And then she found it later and it had like bite marks and tusk marks on it.
I mean, at least she got it back, right?
I'm gonna go buy an assault rifle. If there was like,
yeah,
what?
You should. You should.
I was gonna say, as soon as I hear there's any amount of wild boars in the greater Vancouver area, I'm buying a gun. I have my gun license. I can do it legally. I just haven't yet because it seems like a lot of work, because in Canada, if you want to get any sort of gun that's cool, you have to keep it in a safe. You have to keep the ammo separate from it. So you need like 2 safes, and then you got
even like
trigger lock on it.
The gun's expensive. Guns are expensive. A gun safe is expensive.
Yeah.
An ammo safe is expensive.
Yeah.
Like safes are not cheap.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, you can have an unrestricted firearm in the trunk of your car as long as it's not visible from the outside of the car. So that means you can have a shotgun or a rifle that has less than 5 bullets or whatever, a semi-automatic rifle. So that basically, if you're not into guns, that means you have to pull the trigger for every time it shoots. You can't just hold it down. When you hold it down and it keeps shooting, that's fully automatic. So if you have one of those guns with a trigger lock on it, you can keep it in your car as long as it's not visible. So there could be any amount of people just with shotguns in the trunk of their cars driving around legally.
What if it's visible, but you put a little disguise on it, like glasses and a mustache?
I mean, if you look at it and you're like, that's an ugly baby, and not that guy has a gun, then I think you could get away with it.
Not an assault rifle. Yeah.
Yeah. That baby is long.
That's a fucking skinny baby. Eat something. Hey, Internet, thanks for tuning in to episode 185 of Outrage Factory, the podcast where we look at the things that make people mad online and explain why they're done for caring. I've been your co-host, Derek Boland. You can follow me on Herder. You can follow me on Twitter at Herder, but I don't say much these days because Twitter sucks ass.
Mm-hmm. You can follow me on Twitter at SuperDaleBot, but it's just hilarious jokes and wise insights.
We know you hate those. You can follow us.
Yeah.
At our HVAC Pod, wherever the internet is coming to you.
Yeah, that's we have a Gmail for it that I haven't checked in 2 months, but I haven't gotten.
Hope no one's emailing us.
That's our Facebook. If you're watching us live, you already knew that. Just outragefactory.com. We have a
website. We have a Patreon, I think, that's still not up. So don't donate money there.
And if you like us, subscribe to us, and like us. Also, if you care about my other show, The Dale Show, I put it on the same YouTube channel because I'm too lazy to make a separate YouTube channel for it, because I kind of see it as Outrage Factory is the production company and The Dale Show is just a show in that production company. Yeah.
And yeah, check out the Dale Show. Watch out for feral hogs.
We've only ever had one episode pulled off YouTube, so I guess we're still good.
And vaccines are good. We like vaccines. Everyone should get vaccinated.
Vaccines. Everybody should do whatever the government tells them.
Yes.
I don't know why you guys are denying.
Yeah.
It doesn't
be
matter
idiots.
that they're going to grind us into the ground for the New World Order. We'll probably, if you're listening to this,
Yeah.
you'll probably
this
get
is
to be one of the
definitely
people
gonna-
who gets to live. So
This is gonna get pulled again. Just
count your
because of that.
blessings. No,
We
you
did
can
so
say
good
stuff
this
like
whole
that.
episode, and then
Oh, dude, you can talk about conspiracy theories. You just can't say the other thing isn't a thing.
yeah.
If
True.
you know what I mean.
All right. Until next week.
Stay angry.
Stay angry.
Stay angry.
Stay.
I'm Jennifer Lopez.